Hey y'all, I'm Jim with Sunrise Farm. Thanks for stopping by today. In today's relatively short video, I just wanted to discuss where we're at on our onion planting. I still got a little bit of work to do to clear where the plot I'm going to plant them in, and then do some ground prep. So that'll probably be another week, maybe up to 2 weeks. And it's currently mid-November, but our onions just arrived, and so I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I will also say that the previous couple of years, I have started onion from seed, and I would do that basically starting on the 1st of September. I live in the bottom half of South Carolina in Zone 8B, and since I start, a couple thousand onions a year, it took a lot of my seed trays and took a lot of seed starting mix and space in my little greenhouses. And like last year, I ran into some issues with some of the trays. I really don't know exactly what went wrong, but I lost about half of my trays and I had to restart. Now, I still made it to onion season, still had them grow out, but I had a lot of smaller ones and what have you. So this year, talking to a friend of mine and honestly having seen it in other market farm videos on YouTube, I decided to use Dixondale. So I did a little research, and sure enough, Dixondale is a big company, I suppose you could say, that sells onion starts, small onion plants, and they start selling short day onions, which is what I have to use down here in the South. Actually, no, I just received them literally, well, yesterday. But so here we are, mid-November. Generally, this is the time we plant onions up through the first or second week of December, depending on weather and whatnot. It's going to be, like I said, probably almost 2 weeks before I get the ground fully prepped and get these in the ground. But what I have in front of me, and I'm going to kind of show you a little closer and do some unboxing. But if you're ever in the market to do a bunch of onions, I would highly recommend looking at Dixondale. I had ease of order. Their prices are very reasonable. Everything is priced up front on their website. There's no hidden charges. Delivery was right on time according to the schedule that they give you a scheduled calendar and you get to kind of pick, but they were right on time. So everything so far has been wonderful. And I've opened up one box of my onions. I have 3 different boxes, and one of my boxes is a red Creole. And so I opened it up, and the onion plants look great. They came fresh. So now I'm going to open up my other 2 boxes. I have a box of Texas Super Sweet, and I have a box of Texas White, Early Whites. Combined, this is somewhere in the vicinity of about anywhere from 4,500 to 5,000 plants, plus or minus. And you might go, holy smokes, that's a lot. It is. It's going to take a long kind of time for me to plant, even with some help, but we'll get it done. It's not hard to plant onions. Obviously, they're pretty simple. But let me just show you. This was one of my red Creoles. So it's got a small bulb started. It's got roots. It's got greens already started on it. And all you're really going to do is stick this right in the ground. All you got to do is stick it in. You only have to have the roots in, but I generally stick them in about up to here, about 1.5 inches deep, because you don't have to worry about burying the onions slightly. The onions will push themselves up out of the ground. That's not a problem. Presumably so that your ground's a little bit on the loose side. At any rate, so I've got one box already undone of red Creole, and let me show you what's going to happen with these other boxes. All right, so here we go with the Texas Super Sweet. Actually, before I do that, I would recommend, I didn't do it on the first box, and I ended up with kind of bad onion hands, so to speak. So I'm putting on some nitrile gloves just to make things a little simpler and less problematic cleanup wise. But here we go, 30 bunches, which is what a box is. One box is 30 bunches. Now you can order them as much as just one bunch if you just want a handful. But I ordered one box each of the Red Creole, the Texas Super Sweet, and the Early Whites. And so roughly speaking, it's anywhere from 1,400 to 1,800 plants per box, and that's according to their website. So as you can see, it comes, and they have a rubber band around a bunch of onions. This is considered one bunch. One bunch is guaranteed to have 48 plants in it, or 4 dozen plants in it. Generally speaking, it'll have a couple more, but it's guaranteed to have at least 48. So what they tell you to do is, if you can't plant them right away, they tell you to keep them in a cool, dark, place, and to open them up and to fan them out so that they can have air get into their greens and kind of separate them a little bit, just to get airflow. So that's what I'm going to do. And although I did it on a crate, I have a few of those crates. I guess I could keep doing it, but I also use those crates for harvest time, and we're still harvesting stuff. We do year-round farming here, so instead of getting another crate out, I'm just going to simply put them in here like this and loosen them up. And so I'm just going to do each bunch that way. But you can see that these Texas Super Sweet are very nice looking. They're moist, so they're still fresh, still got some water content. And onions are extremely resilient anyway. If you've ever planted onions, you know that they're super resilient. In fact, if you ever left an onion long enough, maybe on your kitchen counter, and your like a basket on your counter or whatever you might use as an onion storage, you'll eventually see them starting to sprout. Well, that's because they're trying to go into their next phase. A second-year onion, well, actually, that's when it goes to flower and will seed. So sometimes if you get one that goes to seed, it's already thought it went through a 1-year process, meaning a cold and hot spell a couple of times. And whatever box you put them in, or crate, that's a produce crate I have the red onions in, so it has air holes on the bottom even. But these boxes that Dixondale gives you is they have holes in the side, and I think that's probably sufficient enough for as long as I'm going to have them in here. If you need to, you could even mist them with some water, because these are kind of wax coated style produce boxes. I'm not sure they're wax coated, but they look maybe like they're wax coated, but they're definitely produce style boxes, a little extra thick. I would just spray some water in here with a spray bottle or something, just to moisten them if I felt like it was an issue and they were drying out too much. But so there you have it. One box only takes a couple of minutes to take all the rubber bands off and fan it out. And some of the onions already have a pretty decent bulb starting, and some of them are very fine. But they'll all grow quite well Just need to get them in the ground and get them to start rooting, and they'll be lovely. Let's look at the other box. So here you go. These are the Texas Early Whites. Same thing. I won't bore you by undoing all of these, but here's the 3 that I ordered, and you can clearly see the coloration. This one's pure white. It's a white bulb, red Creole, and a yellow onion, which is the Texas Super Sweet. And so there you have it. I will leave the information for Dixondale down in the description box. And if I didn't mention it, they're a company in Texas. And they've been growing onion starts for a multitude of years. And I've heard nothing but good things about them. And I'm looking forward to getting these in the ground and come May. So for us, it's, it's a lengthy process, about 7 months, that they'll be in the ground maturing. First, the tops grow nice and strong, and then next year, when the days start changing, because that is part of what the short day, medium or indeterminate day, and long day onions mean. It's based on your region of the country. One of the few vegetable plants that operates like that. But so they'll put on the green tops first, get nice and strong and healthy, and then next year they'll start putting on the bulb, basically the last phase of their process. So we generally will harvest around May, maybe early June, just depends. Depends a little bit on weather and what have you. But and onions are quite hardy for us. Our winters don't ever get too terribly cold. Our low temperatures may dip down in the mid 20s, but that's generally about as low as we go, unless it's a freak thing. But I will also, in one of the very future videos, I will show the ground that I'm prepping and what I'm going to do there as a process for planting and so forth and so on. Talk about maybe spacing and or fertilizers when I go to do it. Now, you've probably recognized in the back of this shot, back of myself here, and I mentioned it in my last video, is that probably my very next video will be talking about the greenhouse you can see. That's brand new for us. She is now finished, and I'm starting to plant pickling cucumbers in there. So we're going to see how that works for us, but I can already tell it's just been a humongous blessing, and I haven't even fully got started yet, but we're going to talk about that in detail. So I hope you'll come back and follow up with us on the greenhouse build. Well, it's not really a build video, it's more of a review video, and we'll talk about where it comes from and how I got it. And then we'll also talk more in a future video about the onion planting. We're getting ready to build a couple of walk-in coolers and so forth and so on. I think I think one of the big changes I forgot to mention in my previous video, if you happen to see it, because our farm's going through some significant changes, all for the better, going towards, over the next 6 or so months, going towards and will accomplish being no-till. And that's something big that I really want to do, because we're going to consult with a husband and wife team early next year that's a permaculture consultants, and that's going to be wonderful to start changing the content of my soil and doing it naturally and with biodiversity. But one of the big changes I think I forgot to mention is that probably by March, but certainly early next year at some point, we are on track to become certified organic. So we're going to be USDA organic certified. I'm currently enrolled in a TOPS program, which is a mentorship program. So I'm even allowed to say that I'm transitioning to organic certification because it's a government-run program, if you will. So that's another big change that we're making. So there's just so much going on for our farm, and I hope you'll come along for the ride. And if you don't mind, I'd appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and share this video, and get more people to be interested in growing things, interested in farming, interested in what you can do as a small farm, and in my particular case, as a market farm. I love the market farm style of planting and growing, and it's something you can do a lot with a little space. And yeah, I just think it's a wonderful thing. You don't need a bunch of big equipment to do it either, and it's just I don't even know how to describe it. It is a blessing, I guess is the one word I need for it. To me, it's been a great blessing learning. This is our end of our third year of farming. I'm not even sure I count the first year because I didn't know what I was doing, and the deer ate 70% of what I grew. But I am just thrilled. This comes from 35 years of plumbing construction, 20 years of that owning my own plumbing business, to basically saying, know what, I need to move to the country. I need to do something different with my life. I don't like plumbing anymore. What do? The Lord has directed me kind of through ministry into farming, and I use the farm as a ministry as well. So anyway, I hope this has been enjoyable for you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to try to answer them. And I look forward to seeing you back for the high tunnel video and for the planting video of these onions. So thank you so much. Take care. God bless you. Have an amazing day in the Lord, and we'll see you real soon.